The Trade Union Clean Air Network was set up by the Hazards Campaign and the Greener Jobs Alliance in 2019, and the main purpose was to support trade unions who wanted to raise awareness of the issue of air pollution in the workplace and in their communities.
So the occupational exposures which many professions experience is something which requires much more attention.
So trade unions have to be at the heart of any consultations when it comes to cleaning up the air that we're breathing in.
And employers need that force from them to know that they have to do it, not that they should do it.
Trade Union Clean Air Networks produced this film because we want to highlight the issue of occupational indoor air pollution, which we feel is being very neglected and a cause of real concern, not just for the public, but particularly for workers employed in some of these indoor environments.
Now, this event's been put together by Battersea and Wandsworth Trade Union Council, which is the local branch of the TUC, and the Trade Union Clean Air Network. And the reason why we've chosen Tooting is because we've been involved in monitoring the air pollution in this area for a number of years now.
Yeah, the focus has been primarily on outdoor air pollution and seeing this as a public health issue. Now, that's important, but what we want to do is actually make sure that the focus needs to be also on indoor air pollution and air pollution as an occupational health issue. So in other words, not just public health, but occupational health, and not just outdoor air pollution, but indoor air pollution as well.
So the current state of legal standards on indoor air pollution are rather inadequate. The occupational indoor air quality standards were set many years ago, and in the interim period, of course, we have accumulated an awful lot better understanding of the links between poor air quality and poor health, and as a consequence we really need to tighten up those standards. And in the indoor setting in public places, we really don't have any guidance at all. So the Chief Medical Officer in the UK, Professor Chris Whitty, in his annual report back in 2022, he took exposure to air pollution and its health consequences as the focus of the work. And the conclusion from that piece of work was that there was inadequate evidence available to support the exposure that we're getting in indoor environments, in our public buildings, for example, and even in our homes. All these instances where people are being exposed to outdoor pollution is clearly bad, but when you consider that in many occupations in indoor settings, people are being exposed to as much air pollution, and yet we don't know about it because we're not monitoring indoors. So commercial cooking is a problem from the concentration of these tiny particles, PM2.5, which they emit as part of the process. And as you have mentioned, in this indoor market, the concentrations were extremely high indeed. Now, that is a cooking aerosol. It's not diesel coming from a tailpipe, or it's not microparticles coming from a tire in a vehicle. It's a different type of particle. And the million-dollar question is that type of particle as dangerous to our health as we know diesel from a tailpipe is?
We know that indoor air pollution is an occupational health risk. It can cause things like asthma, other respiratory illnesses, or worse, it depends what we're breathing in. It could be black mold, it could be asbestos fibres from the building, it could be airborne viruses like COVID. There are so many invisible risks that can affect and cause long or short-term health problems for workers. But the quality of the air filling our lungs can cause other problems as well. If it's poor quality air we're breathing in, it can make us tired, it can make us less alert, and that can create other safety risks in all sorts of different jobs. The current legal framework on indoor air pollution isn't good enough. We need standards so that employees have got a benchmark, and we need regular quality monitoring to become the norm. But we also need to update the existing laws that we've got. So things like COSH, things like workplace exposure limits. We know so much more about air quality since those protections were introduced, so it's about time they were updated. Well, trade union health and safety reps have already got the right to carry out workplace safety inspections, and that ought to include monitoring the air quality indoors and outdoors wherever the workers are spending their time. They can do that and they can report concerns to the employer or even to the safety regulator. But we want safety reps to have more rights, have those rights extended. We want them to have the right to carry out an inspection in any site within a supply chain, in any workplace where they've got members. Trade unions have also got a really important role in this space to make this issue more publicly known, to raise awareness amongst the community, to highlight the issue to perhaps workers who aren't in unions, but also parents groups, community activists that might not be aware that the air that they're breathing in can be a toxic hazard and can create long and short-term health problems. So there's a lot of campaigning opportunity around this.
So the Bakers Food and Allied Workers Union have for years had a very firm stance on being anti-fracking. We want to be greener, our industry needs to be greener, but it's not until the last 5 or 6 years that we've really ramped up the work that we've done around climate change and the importance of it being a trade union issue. In short, I don't think the air pollution in the food sector is being adequately addressed by employers and enforcement bodies. Some employers are doing a far better job than others, but that typically is the really big companies, the national, multinational ones that have got the resources and the funds to do that. But the small and medium-sized businesses that maybe haven't got, £60,000 to put an air filtration system in, they're the ones where our members are most at risk. And for some of them, it's not for the want of trying, they just haven't got the resources to do that. In terms of the enforcement bodies, I don't believe that they've got enough teeth to go in and deal with issues. Our industry has been rife for longer than I've been alive with dust exposure from flour and other ingredients. And that's still an issue, although there are things in place, there are new masks, there's new extraction systems that can be utilised. It's certainly not uniformed across the whole industry. My advice to reps and activists, not only in the BFAW, but to all movement reps and activists, if you want to be more involved and to take action and find out more about what you can do around air pollution, not only in your workplace, but in your communities, to go to the Greener Jobs Alliance website, have a look at the Trade Union Clean Air Network information and resources. There is a fantastic checklist in there that you can use as a base to what you start doing, but also then bring it up in your health and safety meetings, bring it up with your local councillors that you've got concerns, and work through those processes as well.
We began measuring air pollution standards in Tooting over 10 years ago. But more recently we've realised that the indoor markets in Tooting are the source of major air pollution issues. What we've discovered is that exposure levels for particulate matter can be as high as up to 4,000 micrograms per cubic metre. Now what that means is that it can be at least 200 times the exposure levels out on the high street. We've used Tooting Market as a case study for this film because we've been working closely with the market owners and with the council to try and achieve a solution to this problem. We want to make it clear we don't want the market to close. It's an important social hub, and more importantly, it's also an important source of local jobs. So we feel that working with the trade union movement and the community is going to be vital for making sure that this public space does stay open and continues to function effectively.